Welcome back to the channel where they call me Q-Tip and we call this Q-Tip's Corner. We're glad you're here. In a recent video, we told the story of how I came to be known as Q-Tip. Today, we're going to take that story to the next logical chapter and discuss the evolution of Q-Tip's Corner. Not Q-Tip's Corner, the channel, but Q-Tip's Corner, the physical location. It's a great story. I look forward to sharing it. When I first stepped on the critical care unit that was to serve as the last leadership position I held in healthcare, I encountered a team that was in trouble. They were traumatized. The COVID pandemic had really taken them through the ringer. They had been a primary COVID unit for a couple of years. Fortunately, we were on the descendant arc of COVID as a pandemic, and so we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. It was a great time to come in as a new leader with some new ideas. One of the ideas that I had centered around the whiteboard that was on the wall outside my office. That whiteboard had a lot of patient statistics, had a lot of death statistics, had a lot of COVID statistics, had a lot of numbers on it whenever I first arrived. Perhaps I see things a little bit differently as a leader. I see the leadership position as one who interprets all of that data between administration and frontline staff so that frontline staff can concentrate on the patients they're so brilliant at caring for, and administration can concentrate on the numbers they understand so well. A couple of days after I started, I erased the board and just started with a clean slate. I left it blank for 2 or 3 days, and then I wrote the following: I believe in you. You have what it takes, and I am proud of you. No explanation, no address as to who it might be to. I just put that on the whiteboard and left it. I left that message up for probably a week. I don't remember specifically, but probably about a week, and left it blank for a couple of days. And then I wrote, forget the mistake, remember the lesson. And just left that up for a couple of days. What I wanted to do was get people accustomed to looking to the board for new messaging, not for numbers, not for any kind of judgment of their performance, but just open-ended, unconditional support. That's all I wanted to show them, because that's something they were so desperately hungry for. Well, as fate would have it, I got busy with several projects and I forgot to write anything on the board for several days. Then a couple of team members came up one day and said, hey, when are you going to put something back on Q-Tip's Corner? And I said, what's Q-Tip Corner? And they said, it's the whiteboard outside your office. And I said, what? Well, I kind of like that. Let's go with it. And then next thing you know, one of the team members had used a little Cricut machine to make up lettering that said Q-Tip's Corner. And that's where the physical location was born. It was something that was so simple. All I put up was 2 encouraging messages over the course of a couple of weeks, and people started to depend on it kind of as a source, not necessarily of inspiration, but validation. Now, over the next 4 years, Q-Tip's Corner came to serve in several different ways we never anticipated, but we fully leveraged. It became a place where we put quotes and thoughts. I was able to put up some current information, like little catchy sayings and stuff that would help us focus on things that we were working on as a team at that time. And then perhaps the very best way that we used Q-Tip's Corner was in the most innocent, and that was as a team building tool. You've seen the channel description. You've heard me say before that team building is not an event, it's a process. Part of our team building process was that we used Q-Tip's Corner to put playlists. Yes, we could have used Spotify or something highly technical, but the thing is, if we had individuals share their personal playlist, I could write them on the board. We could nickname that list and everybody could listen to the music and learn something about one another. You can learn a lot about a team member by the music that they enjoy the most. And it became just a phenomenal team building tool. So Q-Tip's Corner wasn't just a place, it was a process. So for quotes and thoughts, that was something that's how I actually started it. Because remember, I believe in you, you have what it takes, and I'm proud of you. That's what I started this whole thing with. And those were just thoughts that I had on that particular day. I think that whenever people realize that what they're doing within a greater context of existence, they have a greater appreciation for the details of what they're doing and a greater appreciation for the value of what they're doing. And that's where those quotes and thoughts came about. Now, I knew that Q-Tip's Corner was a hit whenever people started bringing me things that meant something to them that they wanted me to write on the board. They were participating. The key word there from an administrative standpoint and from a leadership standpoint is engagement. So this was something that I started in support of them that evolved into a marker of engagement. That was a cool win. The next way that we used Q-Tip's Corner was for information sharing and then also for sharing team successes. Now, those are two separate things. We'll give a brief example of each. For information sharing, every now and then we would do something with goal attainment. If it was a victory that someone had or a prize or a contest that we won or something of that nature, most of the time, if it was information sharing, it was something that we were working on as a team, like in the proper documentation of pain management with patient care. We came up with a fun little way to remember everything that needed to be done, and that was patients in pain need air with care. AIR was assessment, intervention, reassessment, and then CARE was writing a care plan for pain management. So we put that on the board, and I believe we have an example that we can put up to show you what that looked like. Obviously low tech, but something everyone responded to and engaged with. We didn't anticipate that this low-tech whiteboard was going to be such a clearinghouse, not just for information, but for collective excellence. It exceeded expectations. But the last way that we used Q-Tip's Corner was the greatest success and the lowest expectation. I love music. I love all kinds of different music. Now, obviously from our theme music, my first and greatest love is metal. But I love every genre of music, and I wanted to share some of the music that I enjoyed the most with the team. So I wrote a playlist out on Q-Tip's Corner when I didn't have anything else to put out there. And it stayed up for a few days, and then I erased it and left it blank. Then actually a patient's family member poked their head in my office and said, "Hey, when are you going to put us another playlist up here? I really like the last one." I said, "Well, I guess I could." And so I came up with another playlist and I wrote that up there. And then it occurred to me, I wonder if my team members were putting together a playlist, I wonder what they would put up there. Because you can tell a lot about a person by the music they enjoy the most and are willing to share. So I put it out there that, I was looking for a playlist of 7 to 10 songs. We wrote it on Q-Tip's Corner and everyone thoroughly enjoyed it. Anytime the board stayed blank for more than a couple of days, somebody would give me a list to write up on it. And it was just a phenomenal team building exercise because everybody was exposed to one another's culture and interests and musical preferences. And it was such a phenomenal forum for just immersing in one another. Totally unexpected, but a complete and total success. We do have some pictures of the boards, of some of the boards that were put up there. I was asked at one point, why don't you just put together a Spotify list? Clearly, we could have done that. But number one, it would have been a lot higher technology than we needed on Q-Tip's Corner. But number two, it would have taken away that sense of team. There was a team there, a team element that was really supported by these playlists. And it was so simple and it was right there under our noses. And it was only after 3 or 4 different iterations of playlists that I realized the value of this exercise. Now to summarize, Q-Tip's Corner was an actual place in real life. The day that I knew we would succeed, because remember the environment that I came into, this was a team that had been just crushed. And you don't know how they're gonna respond whenever new leadership comes in. You don't know what the future's gonna hand you. I knew we were gonna be okay whenever they called it Q-Tip's Corner, because that meant that they had accepted me as a true purveyor of, I don't take myself seriously. I take what we do very seriously. That was the day that I could honestly say, now we have true banter. And you don't get banter among people who don't like each other. This team has an opportunity to succeed. And I was so happy to see that. It was so profound and yet so simple. And it all came through a whiteboard called Q-Tip's Corner. I do hope you've enjoyed the story of the evolution of Q-Tip's Corner. You'll find lots of information on each corner of this channel, so come back and see us. Be blessed, and we'll catch you on the corner.